Good afternoon, everyone. I, Prerna, on behalf of NEN and Wadhwani Foundation, invite you all to the webinar. And also, I'd like to introduce you to our expert, Gaurav Jain. He's the founder and CEO of Mast Kalandar and has been a retail enthusiast all his life. A graduate from IMT Ghaziabad, he has worked in the IT industry for close to 5 years. He has handled sales and marketing in various geographies and has a keen eye for detail and likes to work on processes and systems.
Good. So thank you everybody for having me here. Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Gaurav Jain and I'm the founder and CEO of Mast Kalandar. As many of you might know and might have seen and might have dined with Mast Kalandar, we are a restaurant chain and we are currently 35 outlets and we are in 4 cities. And we started this venture a few years ago. And we started this, I started this together with Pallavi, who's also my business partner and also my life partner. We both came together and started this, and we have had 2 rounds of VC investments in the last few years, and that has helped us to go to 35 outlets in 4 cities as we talk today. So that was a brief background about myself, and also to let you know that I was working as a sales and marketing professional in some of the large corporates earlier, and I was practically, both me and Pallavi were fairly settled and fairly well earning in armchair cushy kind of jobs, probably a dream-like career which any MBA can, any professional can imagine. So that was the thing that we were doing before we started Mast Kalandar. So interesting topic today is about risk taking and what does it mean to become an entrepreneur, and what are the things that you need to look out for, and I will share certain things, how it has been with us during this journey, and what are the pros and cons during this journey. So that is what I'm going to cover. So just to start on this, risk is, I think, synonymous to entrepreneurship, and because risk and reward go hand in hand. So you don't take risk, you don't get any reward. So to do anything in entrepreneurship, I think there is a fair amount of risk which is involved at various stages. In the few years that I have been an entrepreneur, I have seen that at every stage, probably every now and then, if not every day, that I have to go and put my neck out and take those risks, take those decisions in order to move forward. And I think there's I would say an entrepreneur gets addicted to this risk after a while, and there's a big high that he gets when he succeeds. And if he fails, then also he doesn't have the regret, and he moves on. And I think that's the passion and that's the sheer possibility in entrepreneurship, that risk becomes your friend rather than anything else. So we started this venture with quite a lot of risk, also because there was a lot of things at stake. So I'll come to it. I'll speak about it during the presentation. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. It's really risky, and it's really risky to be an entrepreneur. And so many things you put at risk when you take this decision. You put your career at risk, because probably if you're working in a professional career, things would be very different and things would be far more safe. You put your earnings at risk, because if you're working in a professional career, the salary is going to hit your bank every month, and that is a big comfort that people would like to have, and that is at risk when you jump onto entrepreneurship. You put your family life at risk. Entrepreneurship demands very different working hours, very different kind of commitment, and how your family is going to react, how your friends, how your wife, how your kids are going to react is all at risk. And this is a journey which everybody goes together into it. Everybody around you needs to pay a little bit of price, and that's big risk. And I would say the biggest risk is a risk of failure. What happens if if you do all the good job and you toil and slog long hours, but still you don't get the returns, and ultimately you fail. So if you fail, that it's a big risk, and that's a big obstacle which a lot of entrepreneurs face, or would-be entrepreneurs face, and hence they are never able to take this jump or leap. But I would say, the greatest risk is if you don't take any risk in life, where is it going to lead you? So entrepreneurship is a risky business, but at the end of the day, you don't have any regrets. You enjoy your journey, get your highs, like the adrenaline rush that you get every now and then. It's something that's extremely fascinating. So I think risk becomes your friend when it comes to entrepreneurship. So that's been at least my experience. I'll talk about a few risks, and I will also tell you about some of the instances that I have seen in my entrepreneurship journey. So biggest risk, I think, is whether we identify the customer need properly. A lot of people think that they have a great product, they have a great service, and they don't really think about the customer, whether really the customer needs it. Just because you think it's a great product or a service doesn't really mean that the customer would like that. So hence, it is an imperative thing for the entrepreneur to realize that is there a need for the kind of business that I'm planning to get into. And I think that's one of the biggest risks. That's the number one risk. If you go wrong there, no matter how hard you try later, that's not going to work. In our case, I think we identified the need because we ourselves, when we were working as professionals, we did not get this kind of food, or we did not get this kind of the various factors, the clean, hygienic, affordable, value for money, authentic kind of a meal in a 100 rupee price point. And we were always wondering why is nobody serving this kind of meal. And hence the need was realized much earlier, even before we started. I think at least a few years before we started Mast Kalandar, we realized that there's a great need for this kind of a model, because it was always a pain point, and me and Pallavi used to work in different time zones, and we used to really did not have any time to cook, so we would end up ordering pizzas and eating fast food, or or cheap food, or unhygienic food, and hence this need was there, which was recognized, bold and big. So I think the biggest first risk is whether you have identified the need correctly, and you can go ahead and do some surveys and ask the customers, do they really want it? Yeah. So that is something to be identified. The second thing which I would like to put on the table is, suppose there is a need for the kind of product or service that you're thinking, but does it make business sense? And what I mean is, when we saw, give you an example, the .com era in the 2000-2001, everybody blindly went and launched a website around whatever product they thought, and the VCs were investing, people were going about investing in the .com businesses, and nobody really cared about whether it made business sense or not. And we saw various examples. One of my favorite examples is dog food. There were so many websites which, particularly in the US, came up, pets for you, dogs for you, pet food, and there's so many .coms which used to supply dog food. Till they realized that, even if you offer a discount to the customer on dog food on the website, it's like to ship dog food because it's so heavy that you really don't make money, and actually you lose money. So even though they attracted capital, there are several .coms which came in, but it really did not make big business sense. So I think that risk number 2 is which you need to watch out for: the product and the service, the business around it. Does it make sense? Do the numbers are interesting? Do they really, end of the day, make a profitable business. Right? So moving on to the third risk, which a lot of people think that they're quite right, is the business plan. Give you an example, and business plan is not only numbers, there's so many other parameters that you need to think about it. So give you an example from our journey that we have seen. Pallavi and me both are from MBA background, and what we understand is business plan, presentations, Excel sheets, numbers, and that's what we have been trained to do, and that's what we were doing in our jobs earlier. So when we started Mast Kalandar, we really went down and did a lot of business planning. We did cash flow analysis, peak cash requirements, how many meals do we sell, which locations, and so on. And I think we did this for almost 3 or 4 months, and we also, in the meantime, signed up a property and we were about to launch. But we realized that we both were not from the food and beverage background, the F&B industry, and we really did not have much knowledge or any knowledge on how to cook food. And we chanced upon a lady at that time who met us, and she was from the F&B industry, and we ran the business plan through her. And she said after the meeting that, guys, you have a great plan going, but the problem is that you haven't figured out the most important component, which is how are you going to cook and how are you going to plan the menu, and that was a big piece. So the point is, we think that the business plan, we've thought a lot of things, but really whether it's going to work or not is a question, and you need to be iterative again and again and again to correct it. So by the way, the plan that I spent almost 3-4 months doing before starting this business, I've never gone back and referred to it. So I think 3 weeks after the start, it was practically thrown out of the window, and that's where it lies to date. And I have to redo it right from the start. So the risk is whether you do it correctly. The answer is that chances are you will do it wrong, and you will have to again correct it, and again and again and again keep making it better and better. That's the risk number 3 which I have for you. Risk 4 is the team. Do you have the right competencies within your team? So I can be great at, let's say, doing business planning, but am I great at cooking? No, I really don't know how to even make a good cup of tea. So I need those core people who would be there, who share the same vision, who have the same passion for the business, and who bring in diverse competencies so that together we are able to achieve much more than each of one of us individually. And everybody will have a different strength and a different weakness, but together, whether the team gels and whether it performs. So I think big risk is whether you get that team right. And I think for most of the entrepreneurs that I've seen who start a venture, you already know some of those core competence team members around you. So you have to just look out whether this person can be your team member, and if you have that team going, then you overcome that risk. In our case, we actually were a little late in building the team for first 2 years. I think me and Pallavi, we have a lot of complementary things as far as competencies are concerned, but we really invested in a team a little later, which I think should have been done a little faster today. But I think team is something that every entrepreneur should watch out much earlier in his entrepreneurship journey. Yeah, so moving on to the next thing is, a lot of people ask me whether what is the right time to take the jump and what is the risk. I think there's no right time to take the leap. There's no right time when you'll have one fine morning revelation that today is the time when you start this journey. I think there is, when you take this jump, there is a lot, you actually jump in the dark. So there will be so many things which will come in and which will hit you out of the blue, and no matter whatever thing that comforts you, be it money, be it enough work experience, be it enough, let's say, networking in the industry, or whatever you can call it. I think there is no right time. You will never be ready. There will be so many things which will come out of unknown and just hit you. To give you an example, when we signed our first restaurant, we actually did not have the venture capital money at that time, and whatever we had was our life savings. And we just couldn't afford a fancy property, so we signed an obscure property at a remote location in Bangalore. And when we were almost done with the interiors and about to launch, we realized that this property is a residential property in the municipality ledgers, and hence in Bangalore municipal limits, you're not allowed to operate a restaurant in a residential property. And we had already put in and sunk in all our life savings, and we were totally taken aback till we realized that this particular property is somehow outside Bangalore municipal limits, and if it's still under the Gram Panchayat, and from where you can get a license. So the point is, there's so many things which will come out of unknown and hit you, and you can just not prepare yourself for all those risks. You just have to go out and start your venture and keep battling them day by day by day. There are so many instances which keep hitting us even now, even after doing all these years of business, that we cannot say that we are prepared and we are totally fit and experienced and networked and qualified to run this business. So I think it goes hand in hand as we get started. Risk 6 is challenges. Again, on the same lines, when you start a business, every day the flavor of the business changes. So we are looking at new challenges as we scale up. There are new levels of challenges which hit you at different stages in the business. So when we were one outlet, we had very different kind of challenges. When we were 3, there were different challenges. When we added a new city, it was a totally different game altogether as far as challenges is concerned. So challenges keep changing. So at some stage, human resources was the biggest challenge for me. At some stage, cooking was the biggest challenge. Point is, when you go out and run a business, every day the nature of these challenges change. When you scale up, when you build an enterprise over years, and the change is so fast you can't even cope up with it. You have to just battle it out. So are you willing to take it is the question, and that's a risk. If you're not, then probably entrepreneurship is not carved out of you. This is a very different business altogether, in which you should be ready to take these risks and challenges day on every day. 7th risk is money. I think a lot of people again go wrong in calculating how much money do they require and where it will come from. So there are 2 things which I would like to say. One is, you will never have enough money to be comfortable. A lot of people I meet, they tell me that once they have, let's say, 10 lakh rupees in their bank account as a personal saving which they want to keep aside, they'll be far safer to start a business. A lot of other people tell me that once they have a VC fund in place, then they will start a business. I think these all are not something which is meaningful, because once you start your business, you're practically getting into the unknown. Whether the money is too less or is it more, you really can't say till you jump. But I can say from my experience, money becomes extremely important, because apart from your passion in the business, you need the fuel to get the business going. And initial few years is extremely tough because one, you're starting the business and the money is invested in the business. And the second is, you don't get the salary in your bank every month. So how do you pay your EMIs? How do you make sure that your personal expenses are met? And before getting into entrepreneurship, maybe you were used to a certain lifestyle. and you have to let go of that for a few years. Some of the students who are still studying and want to get into entrepreneurship at some stage, they will also figure out that when it comes to business, then parents are a little more reluctant to give you large sums of money because you don't have the experience. You have not done business earlier. So point is that money is a big risk. You need to figure out how much money do you need. My experience has been that no matter how much money it is, it always seems to be less. You have to figure out from where it is coming. That's one. And the second is, don't wait. Again, these two things are contrary. You'll never be comfortable with the amount of money that you have. So at some stage, you have to say that now, today, I take the leap. That is again a big risk. So these were practically the risks which I wanted to list, and I just wanted to sum up on the thing that for an entrepreneur, risk is the biggest friend. So if you see, the ship is probably safest in the harbor. There's no risk to the ship, but that's not its purpose. So for an entrepreneur, the purpose is that he goes out and explores and starts a venture, starts a business, and he puts in all the energy, all the passion into addressing that customer need and to doing it better, and not incrementally better, but exponentially better. So, or to invent something which is totally new. So, give you an example. Let's say Google. Before Google came in, there was MSN and Yahoo as the most popular search engines. But I remember when Google came in, I really liked it for the simplicity, and today I can't imagine a life without Google, or let's say Wikipedia, or let's say Facebook. Facebook is totally a new invention. So simple idea, but it's a new invention. So somebody took that leap, somebody took that decision, ventured into entrepreneurship, and today we have all these great products which are out there. But the journey is a journey which is full of risks, full of challenges, and that's what entrepreneurship is all about. So if you're ready for all that, by all means jump and start your venture as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Gaurav, for that interesting session, and thanks to all our 60 plus attendees. Questions kept coming in, but due to the shortage of time, we are unable to answer all the questions. Please send in your feedback and suggestions to eclub@nenglobal.org. Also, if you found the session interesting, please feel free to blog, tweet, or post about it. The recorded version of this webinar will be available on our website, eclub.nenonline.org, tomorrow. Our next webinar will be on the 23rd of May on how to nurture customers by Somil Majumdar, CEO of EduSports. We'll be glad if you all could join us again in that webinar. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.